All right, let's jump right in. If you're just getting started with AWS, one of the very first things you're going to run into is the Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC. Now, I know, it can sound kind of heavy, but I want you to think about it a little differently. This isn't just some technical box you have to check. Nope. This is you, putting on your architect hat and designing the essential blueprint for everything you're about to build. You get this part right, and you're setting yourself up for success right from the get-go.
So let me ask you, are you ready to start building in the cloud? Because if the answer is yes, then we need to talk about your very first, and I mean most critical, step. And believe it or not, that first step has nothing to do with writing code or spinning up a server. It's all about stepping back and drawing up the blueprint. Seriously, think about building a house. You wouldn't just start throwing up walls, right? You need a solid plan for the foundation, the layout, the plumbing, all of it, before you even pick up a hammer. Well, your VPC is that foundational blueprint, but for the cloud.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll break down what VPC planning even is. Then we'll cover the foundational first steps you got to take. From there, we'll get into the fun stuff, designing your network blueprint. After that, we'll figure out your internet access. And finally, we'll see how that blueprint turns into a real live application.
Okay, so what exactly is VPC planning? Well, at its core, it's all about creating your own private, totally secure, and isolated slice of the giant AWS cloud. It's about you carving out a piece of digital real estate where you are in complete control.
And yeah, the official definition really nails it: a virtual network dedicated to your account. The two most important phrases here: logically isolated and full control. This is your space, your digital property. You get to be the bouncer at the door, deciding exactly who and what gets in or out.
All right, let's get down to the groundwork. Before we can even start sketching out our blueprint, there are a couple of things we have to get out of the way. Think of it like securing the deed to your land and getting the right building permits. You just can't skip them. First things first, you obviously need an AWS account. But here's the pro tip. Once you create that main root user, you need to lock it away and immediately create a separate administrative user for all your daily work. That's a huge security best practice. Second, you got to make sure that user actually has permission to create and manage VPCs. It's a super simple check, but trust me, it can save you a world of headaches down the road. Now we get to the fun part, actually designing the blueprint. This is where we make the two biggest architectural decisions for our brand new digital property: how we're going to handle all the addresses and, where we're going to virtually build this thing. This right here, this is the golden rule, the number one most important rule of VPC planning. You have to make sure your VPC's IP address range doesn't clash with any other network you might ever want to connect to, like your office network. It's like making sure your new house address isn't the same as a house in a completely different city. It just avoids so much confusion later on. Next up, let's talk about availability zones, or AZs. The easiest way to think about an AZ is as a single independent data center. And the really cool part is that within one AWS region, like Northern Virginia, there are multiple AZs that are physically separate from each other. So think of it like building your business on two totally separate plots of land across town. If a freak power outage hits one, the other one just keeps on chugging along, completely unaffected. And this is exactly why that matters so much. For a production application, the thing your actual customers are using, you absolutely want to use at least two availability zones. That's what gives you high availability. But for a simple dev or test environment, a single AZ is totally fine, and I'll save you some cash. It's all about that trade-off between resilience and cost.
Okay, so we've designed the foundation and the main structure. Now we got to plan for the doors, the windows, and the mailboxes. How does our new digital building actually talk to the outside world? This is all about planning your internet access.
So inside your VPC, you create these things called subnets. Just think of them as different rooms for different purposes. Your public subnet, that's like the main lobby, where your web servers can greet visitors coming in from the internet. Your private subnets, those are like the secure back offices, where your application servers do all the heavy lifting, away from public view. And those VPN-only subnets? Oh, that's the high security vault for things like your databases. The only way in is through a secure private tunnel.
Now, how do these rooms actually talk to the internet? That's where gateways come in, and this is where a lot of folks get tripped up. An internet gateway, or IGW, is a big two-way front door. It lets traffic in and lets traffic out, perfect for a public web server. But a NAT gateway, now that's a really clever one-way door. It lets your private servers go out to the internet,
say to download security patches, but it absolutely does not let anyone from the internet start a conversation in. It's just like a secure delivery door that only opens from the inside out.
So there we have it. The blueprint is complete. We've planned our addresses, our zones, our rooms, our doors, the whole shebang. Now, let's see how all this planning actually turns into a real working application. It's finally time to break ground.
And look at this. This is where all that planning we did earlier really starts to pay off. For our production environment, we deploy our servers across those multiple availability zones we planned for. We use services that automatically handle failures and scale up when needed. And for that dev environment, we can just pop a single server into that single AZ we planned for. It's simpler, it works, and it's cheaper. The deployment strategy flows directly from our blueprint.
So here's the key takeaway from all of this. Once you have a solid plan, a good blueprint, going into the AWS console and actually clicking the buttons to create the VPC, that's the easy part, honestly. The real work, the valuable work, was all in the thinking and the design that we just walked through. That blueprint is what makes the final construction go so smoothly. And just like that, we've gone from a simple idea to a complete architectural blueprint for a secure, scalable, and resilient home in the cloud. The foundation is designed, it's solid, it's ready. So the only question left is, what amazing things are you going to build on it?